Hello, Nussa. Um, so I have all of your illustrations here in your Illustrator file. First of all, I want to say these look really fantastic. I think you've done a really great job, not only illustrating, but really pulling from that style that you talked about from like the Emily the Strange kind of more um, gothic, emo, darker, lots of black, but that added kind of like pink color to it. Uh, I almost want to say like more of like a girly gothic style, but I I don't really know kind of where it falls, but I'm hoping you understand what I'm saying with that. I think you've just done a really good job of pulling in those shapes, that idea, and making it your own, adding your own twist to it. Um, as I told you in class, there's a lot of nostalgia there for me. So I like immediately picked up on this and what it was referencing, and then your fairy, and that I think overall you've done a really good job tying all of these together. Um, I think the poems and having it laid out in a book will help a lot because right now I'm sure it feels a little disjointed just because you're doing your illustrations and you don't have your book quite figured out yet, and that's fine. Um, Creating storybooks sometimes can be a little difficult when not all of the pieces are lining up directly, but as we work through this and we get it into InDesign, that should help some because I know we talked about that some in class. Um, and excuse me if I cough through this. I'm still enjoying COVID. Okay, Illustrator, calm. Oh, hold on a minute. Let me close Anna's. That's probably the problem that we're having here. Maybe. I hope I don't have to close Illustrator and restart because that would be annoying. Because it is running a little slow. Yay. Okay, so let's first talk about this first one. I think you've done a really great job with this. I really like the details in the windows. I like the city buildings. They look fantastic. I even really like the wonkiness of these windows. As we talked, we can sort this out so that you don't see these edges and whatnot once you figure out the size of your book and what like whether you want it to be landscape or horizontal because that will change how the image goes into the book. I really like this idea of figuring out where you're going to put your font or where you're going to put your poems by putting in a text box just as a placeholder. Um, it just makes for a really nice way of going about things to kind of keep yourself organized. This part here, don't worry about putting this in InDesign unless you want to. If you want more control of this within InDesign, then I would say put it into InDesign so you can move it around where you want it as you want it. If this is where you want it and you're not going to move it, then I would go ahead and leave it in here. And when you export, um, we can sort that out. I would say though that once we're ready to put it into InDesign, you're going to want to take this text and you're going to go to text, oops, and you're going to go to create outline. And what that does is that makes these shapes like all of your other stuff in here, which just makes it easier when a printer is printing to print it properly so that there aren't any issues. Um, I'm clicked on your background. I was like, why is it so big? But it's your background. Okay. So that's just something to know. I wouldn't do it yet until we're there. Also, I would always duplicate and make a copy, even if it's with your. I apparently had your spider web as well, just in case you decide to make changes. Once you've turned this into an outline and gone and done other things, there is no going back. This does allow you, though, however, if you would decide to if you wanted to add some wonk to this, so just give it like some fun flair, or you know, like move this, get these spider webs more involved. It gives your text points. So like if you wanted to select this and make the S part taller or give it, you know, different feels, that kind of stuff, that is now something you can do with this font. That's one of the beauties of Illustrator is that you can take a font that you like and you can adjust it, make it work for you. So if you wanted to like drape spider webs into it, if that's something you wanted to do or you want to make it look like it's more intertwined with the spider webs, now that it's a shape, you can, right now they're all grouped, you can ungroup them to where they're single parts. Uh, don't be mean to me. You can ungroup this shape, and I don't know why it's not allowing me to. Oh, okay. So if they're compound paths, you'll have to uncompound path them. So you would release the compound path. Okay. The reason you're always going to have to check that because everybody who builds a font builds it differently. Just like anytime you download an Illustrator file, everyone builds things in Illustrator differently. Some people group, some people use compound paths. It all just depends on what you like, how you like to do it, and what makes you happy. So if you run into that, just always right click. You'll see here it says undo. Well, it's because I saw that. So if I click here, it'll say release compound path. Um, you can isolate things. What is this? I'm gonna have to look into that because I think that might be a way to retype when you've made things into an outline. That would be really cool. Ignore, you don't have to worry about that. That's something else. So like here, if you didn't want this to go back to what I'm supposed to be talking about. If you did want this to go beyond the line here, you can select these 2 points and you can pull your R up. Um, if you don't want your spider web to show up or you want it to be on top of it, you can move that point. You move the whole leg if you want. The same goes for your S here. If you don't want it to go below, you can always pull it up, make it fit this line a little better so that people don't notice it. Now with the spider web here as it is, I would say to make sure that I don't want you snapping. I know what I'm doing. If you have the problem I just had where it was like bouncing, go up to Windows and then or view and make sure nothing is snapped because snapping to grid and snapping to pixels can be really annoying when you're trying to do really detailed work like this. So I would just make sure that my illustrator is like, no, stop it. Just make sure that you're right where you need to be, right on that line. So you don't notice it, but then we don't also have the issue of the S going down if you don't want it to. That's entirely up to you. I think it looks fine either way, but I did want to make sure that you knew that you could adjust that as you wanted to just by turning it into um, an outline and then undoing all of its paths and all that greatness. Um, is there a way for me to clear things? I don't think there is anymore. Let me go over to this other panel over here. I have two monitors. That's what I meant by that. And see if I can find out if there's a way to fix this. Because it's kind of annoying. If not, though, I have a way of fixing it. At least temporarily. Go over here. Why does nothing want to be my friend right now? Here, you can stare at a picture of Petra whilst I close Illustrator. No, don't save anything. And reboot it. And I mostly do that because I don't know what else on my background and stuff, and just saves problems later. All right, here we go. Let's pull your file back up. Maybe? Come on, Illustrator. No, just ignore it all. Ignore. Ignore. All right, let's see if this works a little better. Nah, it still hates me. It's all right. So, on to your next one. We talked in class about maybe making the child a little bit bigger because right now they seem extremely small, which actually realistically, I do really like this shadow, but I'm wondering if we could, is this all grouped together? I want your platform and the child. If we could fill this space a little more. So make your child, and I know I didn't get a piece of that. So let's go back. Can I actually have the platform? Okay, maybe it's just that tiny square. Haha! I win, Illustrator. I don't know that it needs to be this big, but let's see. Let's adjust some sizes really quick. Hmm. I know this probably isn't centered perfectly, but maybe make them a little bigger so they're more of the focus. We can always make your sparkly bits. Can I select them individually maybe? I'm going to ungroup them. Why are you still grouped? Ungroup, I say. Alright, now can I select them? Yeah. So you can make these particles a little smaller as well and pull them in so we still see them so they don't feel like they're lost. Um, and you can size them however you want. So if you want these to be a little larger and go off the page, that's fine. However you would like those to be. I think they look fantastic. I really like them, so I would adjust that, but I would make this a little more of the focal point. And you can always make your fairy a little bigger too if you want. So she's bigger than her little bat friend. And you could always twist her a little so it looks kind of like she's flying a little more, maybe. That might just be the angle she needs to be. And you can always pull her over to the side a little and even think about going beyond your shape. So these crystals are going out here. Her wing could always go slightly beyond the shape, which means you could make her a little larger if you needed to. And kind of have her coming into the image because it makes it feel like she came down from the sky and in. So that's a way to add some movement. And that would actually be a way you could make this even larger if you wanted to. Um, which is it's entirely up to you how large you make this. I just think that it might add some additional emphasis onto the child. I'm gonna actually back up because I have an idea that might show this better with what you originally had, so I don't have to move as much stuff. But I have to Control Z a lot. So I think that was your original. I'm actually just going to shrink this a little. Oh, I didn't want to shrink it that much. Thanks, Illustrator. So let's zoom in with it like that. You can see that the child is a little larger. I know it kind of messed with your particles, but just imagine your particles are there. Um, and you pull her over a little. This still looks a little small, but you get the general idea of what I'm saying is to make this section a little larger, maybe have her off the circle a little to give her to make it look like she is coming into the scene with her little bat. I want something to be, I'm trying to think what to do with this bat because I really like him. I think he's super cute, but I think in this image he gets lost and maybe it's that you pull him up a little so it's like he's coming into the image or maybe give him like a drop shadow or an outer glow so that he stands out a bit more because right now it just kind of feels like he gets a little lost in everything. I know you're using white and black a lot, so I guess we could use white. Let me see how that looks. That makes him stand out a little more. I just want something that makes that bat kind of pop. And right now with the black shutters and the dark background and all that, and the child being black as well, he doesn't seem to fit the same way she does. And maybe it's that you add some red in somewhere, like maybe the underneath of his wings are red, so you could give like the pattern of bat wings, with just like a little bit under here that's red. I'm trying to think. I would like you to like come in and maybe soften up just a few of his edges because right now he looks a little bit choppy, which I do know that that style has a bit of choppiness to it, but I'd love to see his ears a little rounded, and maybe this part of his face. Just gentle roundness. It doesn't have to be like totally round, just giving it just a little bit of softness because if you look at that, that looks just a little bit more refined than it did before. Um, Overall, though, I think he looks fantastic. I think you've got a really good kind of vibe going. I don't know. Maybe turn his ear a little, like that. The other way feels like the ear is in the wrong position for the hole to be tilted that way. Um, but overall, this looks good. I would edit that down to fit a little better. I also would edit this inner circle a little bit to not look like it's going out of your window. Maybe match this up a little bit better. Is your window like half on top of this and half not? Why will you not let me select the window? Oh, okay, it is the window here. All right, so I think in this case it would be worth. Is this the background I'm looking for? Okay. Worth making these straight. So see how this one is kind of straight up and down? It feels a little more like a window. I like the style that you're going for. There's just some little nuances that I think would work well. Can I put this behind this circle? Probably not. I would work with this edge to match it up a little more so it doesn't feel so... Stop snapping stuff. So it doesn't feel so disproportioned. Or like it's disconnected, I think is one of the issues we're running into. And it feels more like an open window. See how that kind of looks more like an open window and this feels more kind of wonky in the wrong way. It's really drawing my attention. Whereas this one doesn't as much. It feels like the bat is coming in through the window. Whereas this one looks kind of like something's going on bizarrely with the window. So those would be my suggestions for that, is to make this part bigger. I know I shrunk this down to show you, but make this bigger and pull her off of this circle a little so it feels like she's coming into the circle and not so distant. We talked about this shape in class, and I'm going to try and see what I can do about what we talked about. Okay, I got to see how you made this. And I am going to find your... I don't have it open. Windows, layers. We are going to change this from pink because I can't see it really well. So how about burgundy? Ah, there we go. If you're ever having trouble seeing your lines and stuff, remember that you can do that so that you can see them better and you're not like, ah, my eyeballs. And you can always change it back later if you want it to be like the layer to be pink. So don't feel like it has to stay at burgundy. It's just for me sometimes with layering, if it's the same color as what I'm layering, it can just be extremely hard to see. I'm going to close all your layers just so I can find the layers I'm looking for. I really like that you use layering. I think this is fantastic. I think you did a really great job on that, and I really appreciate it because it does make my life easier when I'm working on things for you guys, to sort things out when I can see the layers. Okay. I know that I moved some other things. Okay, let's grab your additions here real quick. Um, I don't want the cocoon, thank you very much. I want the swirly bobbies. Okay, you're gonna come out here. And nope, I don't want the cocoon. I want this little guy. Which I do want to tell you that I absolutely love the amount of detail you've gone into with your piece, your different pieces, your illustration altogether. I think you've done a fantastic job with them, really bringing your stories to life and having an overall flow. I really do enjoy it. I think it looks fantastic. I don't understand why this one swirl hates me. I will win in the end, swirl. Okay. I do think you've done a great job, and I really am enjoying what you've done with the cocoon and your character. I think it's fantastic. Um, And I do really look forward to seeing what your final storybook will look like. All right, let's widen that. Let me grab. No, I want the outer cocoon. I don't want the inner one. We just changed this to burgundy. Eh. Ah, here we go. Okay, I know there's more to it than that. Where is... Isn't it great when Illustrator hates you? Okay, so this is the cocoon. Where's the inner part? And don't worry, you haven't done anything wrong. This is a part of the process for me and looking at you guys' stuff is finding out where different parts are so that I can look into them and work with them. And I see you've used paths and stuff, and sometimes that makes it a little harder for me, but that's not a problem. It's you guys, I want you to design the way you design, and I don't want you to let how I design affect too much of what you guys do. It just means I have to find the stuff. So don't feel like you've done anything wrong because you haven't. I think you've done a really good job keeping up with all of your stuff and finding what you need and so on. So don't worry about me not being able to find things. So I see you have a lot of points in here. You'll have to adjust this to meet your style. I know that I'm over here just messing around with it, and that can be kind of annoying sometimes. But I just want to show you in general what I was thinking when we talked in class. And I'm doing that thing we talk about in class where I'm leaning closer to my screen instead of using the zoom. So I would kind of embrace the shapes that you have with your flower here. I'm just going to pull these up. You can adjust them as needs be. Shoink. That's not what I wanted. Kind of make it fill this space that your leaves are giving you. Is my phone yelling at me? Yes, it is. Cool. And I would make sure that the size fits properly. I know I'm kind of messing up your original shape, so feel free to adjust yours. This will not affect yours, thankfully, because sometimes when I get in you guys' files, I have to figure out how you guys have done things, and I sometimes mess them up. So yeah, so just adjust it to fit your your leaves. We talked about these little guys. I have the wrong tool, and it's going to not move them properly. And just maybe adding on some more details like these to this to just give it more of that kind of darker feel. Your cocoon, that's the word I'm looking for. You might even try going for like a darker pink to see how that looks, or even I think it's darken. No. These may not do a whole lot. I'm trying to remember. Hard light? No. Okay, I just leave it at normal because I don't think multiplier screen is going to change it. I think you had it on normal. I just can click cancel and it won't change anything. Yeah, you had it on normal. Okay, so you might try for like, I mean, you could try black and see how that looks. It's going to give it a darker shadow. Um, I might just go for like a darker burgundy color just to give it a little bit of darkness. And this inner one. Okay, let me go over here. Maybe just try for something a little darker and see how that goes. Um, it might not, so feel free to kind of play around with that and see where you can take it. It all just depends kind of on how things that are on top of and below work. You might also, I don't know if this will help any. It might. That's interesting. Don't do that. Okay. Sometimes playing in the effects panel can help. That's why I was in here, is just looking at different ways that you might be able to change it or add something to it. Um, Something like this might help. I don't know. I would play around, see what you can find, see what you like, see what can give some darker feeling to this, so that she feels like she's in a lighter cocoon, but also there's some darkness around her. I do like that the white part back here because I do think it emphasizes the fairy. It's just like looking at different things that might help it a little bit. We talked about maybe adding in some stuff down here, and it could be as simple as taking this line. I'm hoping that went behind it. We'll find out in a minute. And adding, yeah, so adding in like those dark shapes. Let me see if I can do that to a few more of these. Um, I'll do this one and we'll see how it looks in total compared to like the other part and how that can like emphasize some of this. I don't, okay, it's not snapping, it's just the movement. This one you're going to have to adjust just because having that point over there doesn't work really well. So you're going to want to pull it in over here and then kind of don't grab the handle, grab that handle and kind of twist it over so you have that feeling. And the same goes for down here at the bottom. So you can always pull the white one up if you want and adjust it because and I'm going to adjust it because it's the one I can get to at the moment. If you struggle with getting these handles here, because I know sometimes they can be a bit hard, in on a Mac it's under File, on a PC it's under Edit. If you go to Preferences and you go down to not File Handling, ignore that. I think it's not Clipboard Handling either. Is it Guides and Grids? Oh, they move stuff so much. It might be selection. Yeah, selection anchor points. You can make your anchors bigger. So like this makes them massive so you can click on them a little easier. I would change this back though once you're done because it makes it very hard if you're doing fine work further out to see them. But when you're in here and you're trying to select a certain thing, it's a really nice thing to have to be able to change. So it's under selection and anchor points. And you can change each, like you can have them be like just a little bit larger if that helps or a little bit smaller. It depends on what work you're doing. But just know it's there in case you're getting frustrated and you can't pick up what you want. You can also change how they look. Entirely up to you. But as you can see, that adds a little bit of darkness to this whole thing if I move all the way out of the cocoon, which I think might help to pull these in as well a little bit more. Um, I'm trying to think how to do this because you have multiple pieces here. I think this will be enough though, maybe. No, I don't want the cocoon. I only want the leaf. This might be. Okay, so you've drawn inside of things. Okay, that's fine. That actually works. I think you've drawn inside of things. I think that's what you've done. That'll work though. Okay, so let me grab then. I don't want that. I guess it would help if I got the right tool, you know? Okay, let's pull this down here. Actually, this will work fine. I would take this whole piece. I would go over here to your properties tab and click Pathfinder and click Unite. Okay, no, I wouldn't do that. Um, how to do this? Can I put an offset path on this? Maybe? Oh, that's not going to work well either. Cancel. Okay, how do you have this done? Okay, I'm going to pull this out here, and I am going to isolate this selected group, and then I am going to see what's going on here. Is it still all grouped? Ungroup. Does that solve my problem? Maybe. Haha, it does. Okay. What I was going to suggest, so you'll have to go through this process, is to grab this leaf and make it black. And then put it behind everything. I'm going to make it black for now. It's going to change colors. And do kind of the same shadowing. You'll have to fix this part up here a little bit, just in getting it to work properly to match up. So if we select both of those, we can pull them up here. You grab these and pull them over. And you won't have to do, if you can't select like I was, you can go in and press shift and hold these two and just kind of pull those points in. Sadly, this isn't one where you can directly just pull something under it. And that's because it's a more hand-drawn piece, which makes this a little more difficult. But you see how there's that shadow? You can turn this either into a dark green, like this. I might even go a little darker. And then I personally would probably put this at a 50 opacity. I'm going to pull this up here so you can see what it looks like. Maybe if I can select the right tool. It gives this, I'm not going to pull that one off. I'm just going to put this one in front of it. And trust me, you'll have an easier time at this because you drew all this, so you know exactly how you went about it. I'm like a stranger coming in and trying to mess with things, and that doesn't go well. See how it adds a bit of darkness to your flower or to your cocoon, which emphasizes her darkness a bit more, and gives kind of like just a darker feel in general. I think that's a really good thing to add as well. Just adding in some darker colors because right now everything's really light except for a few small touches, and I think adding in a little bit more of that darkness will help. And it's just small, tiny tweaks. So just kind of move around. I would love to see more things like this, even if it's just, like, let's see what we can do here. I probably didn't need to copy that one, but that's okay. We'll leave him there. Even if it's just kind of like adding some more in and like having them dangle in different orientations. Like that, I just think these are a really nice addition and they add a lot. You could even transform, let's reflect vertically. Okay. So this one could go over here like this. Just find different ways to incorporate them. You could even maybe add some down here behind the leaves to add to kind of this spiraling stuff, or putting them in that group and kind of adding them in there. Just kind of see where they seem to fit a little bit better, and just add a bit more of that. I'm assuming you're going to be putting text here. Something if you're going to if you're going to have it be a white background here, that you could consider is to put a white box behind this. I know that's pink. Let's go with white. That way you could even have these cancel. I want this. And you could have these like coming out of your box. You could add like a feathering to the box as well, so it's just like a gentle kind of like space around it that you would only notice that feathering on this bit. But it just might be an interesting way to kind of add bits and pieces here and there to make these stand out more. I would play with it, see how it looks, kind of mess about with it. The box and the font obviously would be done in InDesign, and there is a feathering option in InDesign that we can look at. And if there isn't, if you know where your text is going, you can always create the feathered box in Illustrator and then just adjust it little by little. It's a little, excuse me. It's a little tedious, but can be worth it if you're trying to get a certain effect. I do believe there is a feathering effect in InDesign. My brain tells me there is, but I then can't remember where it's at. So I will look into it so that we can talk about it in class. Just know that there are options for that to add in some of these little bits and bobs around your text. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. So we talked about this one, about maybe making this house a little bigger, this white space in the back. I'm not doing real well about selecting things today. And we talked about just kind of making it a little bit bigger to give it some more emphasis so that you're and I didn't get it all. Let me select this first before I move everything. Okay, so let's pull this down here and we'll get your window. I don't want the sparklies. I only want the window. So pulling this down a little bit more so that your poem is more of the focus within this space. Where are my big shapes up here? Okay. These are black as well, so it is in this section. That I'm going to change the color on because I can't see anything. Waha! Excuse me. You could select all of these pieces and just move them up, or you could just take a couple of them and readjust them a little bit. So, because I am assuming you're wanting them to come out of this piece, opposed to, one sec, opposed to them looking like they are, haha, no more sparkles. As opposed to looking like they're flying out of the side. Okay, where you guys are all here. So these are all background pieces, I assume. Are they attached to your background? No. Okay. Let's turn that off. Let's select all of this and see what it pulls in. Ah, I see. Why are you not letting me select them though? Okay, that's only one. Anyways, okay, so you get the general idea because I'm not sure why Illustrator doesn't let me select those and what I have to dig into, but you get the general idea that you can move these up so that they fit better. I'm not fighting with Illustrator right now because it could be on my end, it could be on your end, or on your file not translating properly because there was some stuff when I brought it up that was like, do you want to replace this? No, yes, whatever. So that could be what's going on there. So don't worry, it just may be me. It's entirely possible. But yeah, just make this window bigger. Kind of make it feel like it's the predominant piece here, instead of the darkness around it being the predominant piece, especially because that's where your writing is. Um, I might make your fairy a little bit bigger as well because she really just kind of doesn't seem like she's a part of this piece. When I look at it, I see this puddle, I see this, I see the stuff up here, I see all the swirls, and it's like she's like the last thing I notice. And I think that she should be more prominent and more of a fixture here so that I notice her a bit more. And you could make her larger to where she's down here at the bottom of the screen but still off the screen like that so that she's still there but she just feels a little more a part of the scene looking in. Another way to do that is you could kind of create a juxtaposition with this. Instead of centering this, you could pull it to the side, all of this stuff to the side as well. Let me get rid of that. And then she could be over here. And then think about how your eyes move. So we move from left to right. So with that being in the center, for some one of the other things we do is we almost always look to the center of things. So if things are off centered, we usually start from the left and go to the right. So think about posters and how you read a poster, how things pull you across the screen. So you could even pull these swirls to come up from here and across if you wanted. It all depends on what you're trying to get across with your poem as well, but I think that visually you could have some more stuff that visually takes me across the screen, makes me focus on the fairy down here, and makes my vision kind of start on this side and move across to where the poem is instead of seeing it dead center and not noticing anything else that's in the image. If that makes sense. If it doesn't, I can explain more. This one we talked about with the light and the dark, and I had suggested, actually I need that. I don't know why I got rid of that. I need that down here. Putting in a whole thing, put that in the back, so that it feels more like this is um, like she is a part of their world, but not entirely a part of their world. Um, you could even add in some more parts to this. So if you have these, are these singular fairies? So you could have a fairy over here, maybe that's just flying around, doing different things. Kind of just because you said you were debating putting your poem in here, which I think is a fantastic idea. I think it would very much emphasize her world. I'm wondering if pulling this up here a little bit might help as well. Did I? Okay, I'm going to select your bat in your person as well. Because you can always fix the web to fit better into this. That's not a horribly hard thing to manipulate. Um, Especially once you get that last point where it needs to go, because then you can move all this around. And if you need to, you can take the pen tool up here. Like if you don't need this point, you can get rid of them. So feel free to like adjust this as you need to kind of get that feeling that this is connected like that. Because I know that that's part of what this is. You could even pull this in a little more if you wanted to have another piece coming down and connecting in here, and then like another piece coming down and connecting to this piece, so that there's kind of some webs over here, getting some more of these fairies involved so that it feels like she is very much a part of their world. I think your little swirls here, which I'm just going to try and get into, um, it looks like their stroke went really high, so you're going to want to pull that stroke down. When you are making things smaller, because I'm assuming this is very similar to some of that you pulled like stuff from here. Let me go over here. Okay, Illustrator, let's not play this game right now. Can I select this again? If I use the right tool. If you take whole parts of this in your space in here, there should be a thing. I have to find the thing, but there is a thing. Where's what I'm looking for? It is not that. Is it in here? Yes. So if you select scale corners and scale stroke and stuff, when you make these smaller, the stroke will scale with it so that you don't have the issues that you ran into over here, where your stroke is way too thick and you don't see the spirals anymore because all you're seeing is a really thick stroke. And then you have to find like the line so that it'll let you select it, which it's not being kind about right now because it should let me select these and it's only letting me select that ball for some reason. But that would be something to go into, and it may just be because it's in a path as well, and for some reason it's not wanting me to allow me to select any paths um, for reasons that are beyond me. Though I didn't check to see if you'd locked anything. That would have been a smart thing to do. I don't think you have. Oh, that might help. Okay, you don't have anything locked because that's not available. Hmm. Oh, okay. It could be some things you've done. That's fine. Don't worry. It's not a big deal. Don't worry at all. It just I'll tell you like what to fix, and if for some reason I can't get into it, you'll just know these need to be made to fit like more like this so that they actually look like a stroke instead of like they're super thick. Same goes for these. You'll just need to make the stroke smaller. Or you can do what I said where once you fixed this, you could just grab this piece down here and you can just bring it in. Obviously, place it on top. It's really tiny. Why aren't you gonna... Oh, it's because it's in a different layer. So cut. Can I paste it now? Maybe. Which layer is this? Ah, here we go. Okay, paste into this layer. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Ignore me. Where did it paste you in? Probably the very bottom. Can I bring this to the front, maybe? Okay, it's... You get what I'm saying. Illustrator is absolutely hating me right now, and I don't know if it's that my computer is being a pain or if it is just me being me. Don't worry about it. But I would bring in some like these leaves and stuff. Maybe just have like a section of the leaves down here. So I'm going to pull your leaves out because the others won't let me do it. So you could do something like this here. You can make it a little smaller if you want it to be on the page, or you could just have it like this. Obviously, don't run it onto your other page. But just kind of adding some more information to this page to make it feel more like this light fairy world opposed to the with the juxtaposition of the dark. Um, I might even, depending on the size of your poem and where you're going to place it, if you do place it in this space and you have enough space to do it, I might even consider making this a little smaller. I know it's going to mess that up again, but just so that it feels like she's such a small part of their world instead of it being that she's a larger part of their world. But always think about your poem space. So if you need more poems, this takes up the whole page, so it already feels larger. I hope that helps with building that page out a little bit. Um, this one I do the same thing where I'd add some dark shading under this leaf just to give some more of that dark vibe. She's in the rain, so I'm pretty sure you said she enjoys the rain. I might trying to see. Okay, so there's a Gaussian blur on this. Okay, so okay, I would leave that the way it is. Maybe a little higher just to soften it a little bit. Um, and the only reason I say that is because I think currently it looks kind of like she's in a bubble, and bubbles usually have pretty soft edges. Um, unless you freeze them or take a photo of them. But I think the softer edge works better for rain. Um, I would probably remove. I personally think you should remove the outline on these. Um, I think the raindrops just look better, a little softer. Um, and also water's transparent, so it kind of makes a little more sense. I just think it puts more focus on her and the flowers around her, and the rain isn't as predominant of a piece, whereas before it was kind of taking a little more of the focus. And I don't think you want to do that. I'm not sure what this is, so I might need an explanation of what's happening here. I'm and because I don't know what it is, I don't know about the shadow. So that's something that we'll probably have to talk about so that I can understand kind of what's going on here. If it is water running off of the leaf, my suggestion would be, this is just me assuming, would be to make it maybe a dark blue. That way we know it's water, because right now I'm kind of like, what is that hanging off the flower? And I don't, or the leaf, and I don't know why I didn't notice it in class. Besides that, we had a lot to go over. Let's see here. I might add in some more of this gold sparkle stuff that you have here, because you talked about that she likes the rain and stuff, and some more of these little orbs here, and maybe pulling them out a little bit more, just to make it feel a little bit brighter and like she really does enjoy this kind of space. Because a lot of times when you think about fairies, they kind of put out particles and that kind of stuff, and spreading these around might help this scene just feel a little more complete. I'm just gonna grab a couple and put them around. Um, Give me the sparkle. You're so tiny that this does not like you. And kind of do it as you see fit and how your structure works. I know that a lot of times you have these together. Feel free to do that. I was just broadening the horizons of the tiny sparkles. So yeah, like something like that, because it makes this feel a little more um together. I don't want that whole set of raindrops. I'm going to ungroup these and see if I can select a single one. You might also pull your raindrops up a little further, kind of pull this little rain stuff up as well to fill up this space. I'm assuming you're putting your poem over here, so I would fill up this entire bubble kind of thing and give it a little more going on, because right now it feels like the top has nothing going on. You only have this small space at the bottom. I would give the same bit of space up here. This may need to come in a little bit more, kind of be up here, and I duplicated it. But I would finish filling up this part. Um, I would love to see this pink pulled in somewhere else besides just kind of here and in the shadows. Um, Maybe I have an idea. Okay, I want this part. I want the flower. Is this in an isolated path? Isolate selection. I am going to ungroup these, and I'm going to undo. Oh wait, I undid the ungrouping. Undo group. Okay, those are your rain lines. I know what that is. That's also rain. That's rain. Ah, here we go. Here are your flowers. Okay. Here's what I want. Okay. Uh, Will this do what I want it to do? This is not the right pink, obviously. Um, Let me get the right pink for this. Okay, so now that I know how you've done this, paste. I'm wondering if adding in like a darker color into this might help these flowers just feel a little bit more lively. Because right now with them having white backgrounds, it just doesn't feel quite like they have a lot going. Meaning this in the nicest way possible. They feel a bit like afterthoughts, and I don't want them to feel that way. I want them to be as much a part of your piece as the other things. So this might be something to think about. You can go lighter, darker, however. Um, but I'm just wondering if something like this might pull it in a bit more and make it feel less like it's a secondary item. It also will pull in some of that idea of like the pink world, where the pink, the blue, and all that, the fluffy colors of one section, and then the darker presence that she has. So that's an option to try. I just feel like right now they're missing something, and I'm trying to figure out what will help them a little bit. And you could do that with the middle as well. Um, Maybe adding just like a little bit of yellow into the middle, so it can even be like extremely pale. It just gives that flower a little bit more going on, because I know that the Emily the Strange, if I remember right, was mostly pink and black, I think. And I did not realize they were still selling stuff. Wow, that's cool. Anyways, so yeah, black, red, a little bit of pink. Um, let's see here. Looks like there's some purple. Now I really want to get a cat color for Petra. Sorry, I'm looking at her online store to see kind of what colors she pulled in. Yeah, there's some pink. Um, a lot of it is red and stuff. So it looks like there's some grays as well. So that might be something else to kind of play about with as well. Is the like having some gray in there. Um, hmm. Yeah, so those are some options. Just to try and kind of get some of those colors in that you're looking for. But I do think that coloring this flower in will help it a lot more than just leaving it white. It will also help with the rain to show up a little better, and not look like it's just like a transparent's wrong, but like that it's a flower that doesn't have any filling, as in like that it just has an outline and the water can go straight through it. That's what I'm trying to find words for that my brain is not allowing me to have. So I would try and do something with this. Maybe bring in some lighter pink. I know that now the raindrops that are going through there aren't extremely visible, but I'm trying to think if raindrops actually are. You might actually make some rain falling off of these as well. So you could do like, so if this is a drop of rain, you could do some raindrops coming off these petals might help as well. There's something that needs to be done. I think this was one of the ones you said wasn't in, maybe it was one of the ones that wasn't entirely finished. I feel like these three may have been the ones you were working on. Um, I think this looks really nice. I know that this has less color than this, but this actually works really well. This flower is very prominent, or this leaf is very prominent in the flower is. I don't know where your poem is going, but something that I would highly recommend that you do is that if your poem is going over here and this is going here, would be to maybe bring some of these flowers in and play with them down on this side of the page, or around where your area is, like having maybe the leaves go the yeah, the leaves go like around the poem kind of to embrace it, or at least have maybe like some snow coming down on it, something to include that poem into this piece. Um, you may even, if you do that, want to pull Illustrator. Want to pull this over just a little bit and then have her uh, 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 be over here looking in so the eye kind of is forced over to where the poem is. I don't know exactly where you're putting a poem in this one, but I think overall this one looks really good. I like the overall visuals. I think it has a lot going for it. I would like to see some of those visuals included with the poem so that it doesn't feel so that it just feels incorporated. So if you think about some storybooks and even poem books and stuff that we looked at where they kind of have just like some embellishments around the poem just to make it feel like it's a part of the imagery, I think that would be fantastic. Same goes if it's over here. I would love to see some of that stuff kind of pulled in so that it feels like it's a part of it. Excuse me. I don't know why I have to yawn. On this one, I'm not sure where your poem is going, whether it's going like here and like following the shape of the moon. That would be kind of cool. That may be something you have to do in Illustrator if that's something you want to do. So that may be the one page you need to do your text in Illustrator if you decide to have it curve. I am trying to remember right offhand. I did not want bridge. Doing good. Let me see if can I cut you off. Go away. I don't want bridge. Bridge, go away. Close. And what I want is InDesign. Uh, New file. Why picas? No one wants picas. At least I don't. Okay. Text. Can you write on a... Okay, yes. So you can do a path. Okay, so you could do that one in this space. So if like you had your moon, you just make a new shape of a moon, like to cover the shape of your moon, make it a little bigger so the curve is the same, and then you can type on that path as you can see. So that might be an option to have your poem follow that moon shape. That would be kind of cool to have it in here and kind of curved along with the moon. Um, that may be something to think about in some of these others. So like since this tilts up, maybe have your text kind of tilt, maybe have your text move along in this circle a little bit. Somehow kind of let those spaces like play with those spaces and how the text works instead of having it all um, be kind of like straight things like just straight text boxes. Because playing with text is always fun and finding new ways to make people follow that text and read. So that might be an interesting way to add some depth and some movement into the pieces so that they don't feel so separated. So that the poems don't feel separated from the work. And I'm hoping that makes sense. Overall, I think this looks great. I absolutely love your moon. I love that it looks like graphite. That is a really cool effect. And I think it works really well here. Um, I do have a question as to where your fairy's other wing is. Because I feel like we would see it over here, so that might be something to add in so that she doesn't look like she only has one wing, um, which is a symbol, just copy and paste. I'm not sure if you're trying to keep this solely black and white, and if you are, that is fine. Ignore me. If you're not, though, I think it would be interesting to add that red in here, add a little bit of color here and there, just to kind of bring something more to it. But if you were going for a black and white effect, ignore what I have to say. Also, you might take this outline that you have on your bat here and bring it over here because that might actually bring your bat out really, really well if he had a white outline. Obviously not that thick. And just separate him a little more from the imagery so he doesn't feel like he's blending in. I think the glow behind him helps, but I also think that that white outline may help him stick out a little bit more there too. All right, so for now, that's what I have to say about your pieces. I think you've done a fantastic job. It is phenomenal. I love how much effort you have put into these illustrations and how beautiful they look. They have a very nice hand-drawn style, which I think is very indicative of the Emily the Strange style. Um, and just a very nice touch overall because they feel very very cared for, very carefully made, which is very nice, and I just think it looks fantastic. Um, make the changes I suggested. If you I know some of them I said was your choice. If they're your choice, feel free to ignore me. The ones that I made that I think that I didn't say that, please make those changes because they will help your book out. Overall, I think you've done fantastically. I can't wait to see this in InDesign and see what you do with it and what the final book comes out looking like because I think that all of the books are going to look fantastic and I really can't wait to see this one in print with the poems and to be able to read the poems and see how they play with the imagery that you've included and created. So overall, fantastic job. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to email me, text me, or talk to me in class, and we'll sort out anything you need. Thanks!